Welcome to the Growing in Love for Life podcast, where it's all about saving and strengthening your marriage and creating the relationship you really deserve and want to have. And now, from growinginloveforlife.com, relationship and marriage coach and best-selling author, your host, Liam Naden.
This is episode 8 of the Growing in Love for Life podcast. Hi everybody, it's Liam Naden here, and welcome to this episode. And what we're going to talk about today is something very, very important and powerful in a relationship, and particularly in one that's falling apart, and that is attraction. How do you get you and your spouse attracted to each other again? You know, what do you really do when the attraction seems to have gone? Because I think, one of the hardest things that you will ever hear from your spouse, and you may well have already heard this, is, look, I'm sorry, I'm just not attracted to you anymore. And that can be absolutely devastating, and not only it will leave you feeling hurt, but probably how it's going to leave you feeling is helpless, because you'll be thinking, you just don't know what to do. What do you do about somebody who's no longer attracted to you? And you might have tried this, you might be in this situation, you might have tried lots of things, you might have tried to put in an effort to get them to feel good about you again, and nothing's really worked. So what we're going to cover in this podcast episode is really the whole thing about what is attraction, what really creates it, what causes it to go away, and what can you really do to get it back. Because I want to tell you some good news. Let's start with some good news, and that is you can create attraction. Attraction is actually in your control. It's not one of these things, despite what we might think, it's not one of these sort of mysterious chemical things that depends on chemistry or libido or how old you are or even what you look like, although appearance is important, and we're going to talk about that soon. But because it's not dependent on these mysterious things, it means that you can do something about it. And it also means that if your spouse has been attracted to you in the past, and I'm guessing probably early on in your relationship, there was a lot of attraction. So if that was there in the past, then you can get it back. But you have to do the right things. And that's what we're going to talk about in the podcast today. So we're going to talk about how to rebuild the attraction. Okay, but before we get into the specifics of how to go about rebuilding the attraction between your spouse, let's talk a little bit about what attraction really is and why attraction is so important. And I think one of the problems with relationships today and one of the pressures on relationships is there are so many myths about what attraction actually is. And because we're going around with the wrong idea of what attraction is, it causes a lot of confusion and pain and pressure, all of it unnecessary, on our marriage. And this pressure and these myths, if you like, come from the media. In particular, everywhere you look in advertisements, you see definitions of what is being attractive in terms of a man or a woman. And the same in movies, and where we see scenarios of people being attracted to each other, and it's full of all this incredible romantic passion. And sure, that's a part of it, but what it's done is created unrealistic expectations. I mean, these things aren't real in the world, are they? I mean, that's why they're in the movies. That's why they're fantasies. Okay, so let's get into attraction. What is attraction? Well, if you're like most people, if I was to say to you, mention the word attraction, the first thing you're probably going to think of is sizzling hot sex and lust between a man and a woman. And that's certainly part of it, although true attraction is actually a lot more than that. But nevertheless, a key component of attraction is sexual chemistry. And obviously, I'm talking specifically here about the sexual energy between a man and a woman, between the masculine and the feminine, which is what a marriage relationship is, obviously. So attraction is there's a big part of attraction that is fundamentally biological in nature. Because we are human beings, we're wired as physical, biological entities, and we're wired to be sexual and to express our sexual energy in the form of attraction. That's how it all works. I think this is an absolutely wonderful thing. I mean, I think the energy, the dynamic, the chemistry that balances male and female energy is one of the most powerful energies in the universe, actually. And when you can really harness this within a loving, sexual, intimate relationship, you create one of the most beautiful things that you can experience. And of course, that's what we're all looking for, isn't it, in a relationship? So sexual energy is very important in attraction. It's the force, if you like, which raises a relationship beyond and above just being a friendship. And it takes us to a place within a relationship where we really connect with our true inner nature and our spirit and who we are, because at our very heart we are sexual beings. It's the way we express our humanness. Okay, now but the only thing about sexual attraction is that it changes over time, doesn't it? And I'm sure we've all experienced this. And it goes from a very intense, fresh, new feeling, if you like, when we're newly attracted to somebody. And it changes. And ideally, and hopefully, and that's what we want to get to, it moves to a more solid, to a deeper form of attraction. And that's what I want to help you to get to. But for most people, unfortunately, it goes in the opposite direction and the attraction wanes. Okay, so coming back to sexual attraction and what attraction really is, I think there's a better definition of attraction within a relationship. And this definition, which I'd like to give you, is I think attraction is having your emotional needs met. In other words, it's simply about having someone else making you feel good. And that includes sexual feelings, but other feelings as well. So that if somebody makes you feel good around them and makes you feel emotionally good, then you're going to feel attracted to them. You're going to want to spend time with them. They're somebody you gravitate towards. And I think this is actually the key to maintaining attraction, or to getting it back if it's gone, is to focus on actually the emotional feelings in your partner. And how can you make your partner feel good emotionally about you? Because, as I said, if you feel good around somebody, and that means if you feel excited, if you feel safe, maybe aroused sometimes, if you feel pleasurable and happy, you are going to want to be around them. And that's what we've got to work on. But of course, the problem with most relationships, isn't it, is that the attraction wanes. The attraction goes away. So what causes this to happen? That's a really good question to ask. What causes your wife or your husband to say to you that they're simply not attracted to you anymore? And what makes us feel less attracted to the person we fell in love with, we married, and we felt very passionate about? What actually is going on? Well, you might think it's time has created the lack of attraction. That's a major reason people give me as to why they're not attracted to each other anymore. Well, it's natural, isn't it? We've been together 20 years. Isn't it natural we should feel less attractive? But actually this isn't true, and I know this isn't true because there are couples out there who are very attracted to each other, and sexually and passionately attracted to each other even after 20 years of being together. You might also think that maybe it's external pressures and stresses that are affecting your relationship, and that's what's causing the attraction to have gone or to be going as well. So, for instance, things like, the demands we have from our family, in particular our children. And we often see a pattern, don't we, of when the children come along, that's when the attraction starts to change or decline. Or there could be financial pressures. If you've got bills and if you're worried about things like paying the bills, that can cause or appear to cause a lessening of attraction as well. Or maybe you have other problems, health problems, or other aspects of your life situation. Things that are causing pressure and stress on you. You might think that these are the reason that attraction is going as well. And of course, another thing I often hear is, well, I just have low sex drive or a low libido. It's a sort of a medical or a chemical or a physical condition why I'm not attracted to my partner anymore. Well, the thing is, these all appear to be the reasons for a lack of attraction, but they're not actually the real reason. And the real reason is actually quite simple, and that it's because you and your spouse have stopped doing the things that made you feel attracted to each other. Now, of course, if you're under pressure or stress, or you've been together for a while and you're just taking each other for granted, you are going to stop doing those things because they're going to be less important to you, less of a priority. But this is the core thing. You've stopped doing the things, the attraction things, the things that make you attractive to each other. Now, I know this is true. Here's a good example that will illustrate that, because there are people out there, probably quite a few people, who've had an affair or who are having an affair while they're in the middle of all this pressure and everything else and the stress and everything else that's going on in their life. They still manage to feel attracted to someone else. Of course, the only problem is it's not their spouse or their partner that they're attracted to. But people can be having a passionate affair with someone while actually feeling low libido and low attraction around their partner. So that says to you very clearly that it's not about all these external things and those things. You can still feel attracted to somebody, but the person you're going to feel attracted to is the one who's doing those attraction things, if you like, to create the attraction. So the trick, if you want to get the attraction back, is you have to start doing those things again. So let's get into that now and talk about how do we really create or rebuild the attraction that we want to have in our marriage, in our relationship. And it really comes down to two things, really two basic things. And the first one is you've got to start being attractive again. You've got to start being an attractive person. And the second thing is you've got to start doing attractive things. Doing the things that are going to make your partner feel attracted to you. Let's look at these two in turn, and I'll give you some ideas here and some examples and some practical things you can do. But the first one is be physically attractive. And that's all about your physical appearance. Okay? And obviously this isn't the only thing, but it is an important thing. And what tends to happen when we've been with somebody for a while, and men are worse at this, it seems, than women, but we tend to let our physical appearance slide, don't we? The longer we go on, we don't take as much effort to impress our partner with how we look. And you contrast this to when you were first together. I'll bet you, if you knew you were going out on a date with your partner, or even before you met your partner, you'd dress up, you'd look nice, you'd want to impress them, you'd want to give them a good impression. In other words, you'd want to make them feel good about you and feel attracted to you. But what happens after we've been together for a while? Well, we stop wearing nice clothes, we stop putting in an effort. But we need to do these things again to be attractive to our partner. So this is very important. So, for instance, your body. Now, there's a bit of a joke which says the minister, when he married a couple, said, "I now pronounce you man and wife. You may now let your bodies go to pot." And isn't that what tends to happen? So if you're out of shape, if you're a bit overweight, if you've lost your muscle tone, if you're not looking attractive, get back in shape. Do some exercise. Get on a proper diet. If you need to lose some weight, lose some weight. Start to be interested and concerned and determined to look good again. Don't let it slide, because how can we expect our spouse to be attracted to us when we look terrible? And no wonder they're going to run off with the secretary. No, that's a joke. But anyway, get back into shape. Do some exercise, cut out some of the junk food, cut down on the alcohol, all of the things that are going to make you put on weight and lose your tone and condition. Start to do these things. And the other thing is your grooming. Get a nice haircut, look nice, make sure your teeth are nice, put on some cologne and deodorant, not just for special occasions when you're going out, but every day. And women, makeup really makes a difference. Is it what you used to put on when you'd go out? Is it what you still put on when you go out? Why not put some on every day? Why not imagine that your spouse, you want to impress them every time you see them, every time they see you. You want to create a great impression and you want to make them feel attractive. You're going to put in some effort, aren't you, if that's the way you feel. So do that. And so many people, the only time they put an effort into how they look is when they're going out, and it's almost as if, if they're going out with their husband or their wife, certainly, but it's almost as if they're actually putting in an effort to impress somebody else. But if your husband or your wife is the most important person in your life, why would you want to impress a stranger when you should be wanting to impress the most important person in your life? So dress well, be nicely groomed, not just when you go out, but every day, all the time. And really pay attention to getting your body back into a good shape as well. And as I said, men are often worse at this than women in terms of keeping their appearance nice. But come on, guys, get rid of that beer gut. Be attractive to your wife. It's really, really important. So that's all about being physically attractive. Now, the second thing about being attractive is to create an attractive personality. And this happens so much that when the problems start to happen in our life and when the pressures and the stresses come on, not just in our relationship but in everything else, we stop being so attractive as a person. Are you fun to be around? Are you the sort of person you would want to be around? Or are you just focusing on are you a bit of a downer to be around? Do you sort of, drag people's energies down? So, ask yourself that question, how much fun you are to be around, and make yourself more fun to be around. And the ways you can do that, be positive as a person, not negative. There's so much negative stuff going on in the news and all those sorts of things. Why not be different? Why not be an optimist? Why not say, I'm not going to read the news and be depressed by all of that or all the bad things. I'm going to look at the positive that's in my life and in the world, because there's a lot of good positive things there. So I'm going to be an optimist. I'm going to be the sort of person that people want to be around because they feel good around me. And that's what this comes down to. Also, be easy about life. Don't want to be one of those people who's like a drama king or a drama queen, where you have to create a drama out of everything, or you have to be right and win arguments all the time. Just lighten up. Don't put so much pressure on yourself and other people. And be mentally stimulating. Why not talk about interesting things? I mean, when was the last time you and your spouse had just a fun conversation about something interesting? And it might be an idea you've thought of, or an idea that you saw from somewhere else, or somebody else made a comment. Just talk about interesting things and fun things, not about your problems. Because if you're the sort of person that when someone comes to you, all you ever do is talk about your problems, are they going to want to be around you? No, not. But if you're interesting and fun, they are going to want to be around you. So this is about creating an attractive personality. And you can also be humorous and fun. Why not share a funny story or a joke? When was the last time you and your spouse shared a joke? Do these sorts of things. Be fun to be around. So that's the second thing. And the third thing about creating attraction is, after you've focused on making yourself attractive, both physically and in your personality, why not focus on creating an attractive relationship? Because the thing is, if your relationship is an attractive place, if it's a fun place to be, if it makes you and your spouse feel good, and this comes back to what I said about what attraction really is, it's making each other feel good and emotionally happy and fulfilled. If your relationship is that place, then you're going to feel attraction. Your spouse is going to want to stay with you. They're going to feel attracted to you. They're going to enjoy being in that relationship with you if it's a good place to be. And then all this makes total sense, doesn't it? This is not complicated or difficult, but what it really is, this is all just about thinking a little bit more about what's really going on rather than just trying to fix problems all the time. So how can you make your relationship a fun and attractive place to be? Well, again, if you think back to when you first got together, and it probably was a fun and attractive place to be, what was going on there? That was different to what's going on now? And one of the things to do is to focus on the positive. And I'm sure you did this early in your relationship. You only saw the good things about your spouse. So ask yourself, what are the good things about them now? And what are the good things about our marriage? Because they will be there. And focus on those things. So what are the good things, as I say, what are the good things about your spouse and about your marriage that you can focus on, that you can think about? And think about those things. And that means not focusing on your problems as well, because if you focus on your problems, you're not going to feel good for a start, and even if you manage to solve them, which you won't, because even if you do manage to solve them, you're just going to keep ending up with more problems. So the key is to focus on the good things. Make it a fun place to be. Another important thing, accept your spouse for who they are. Don't try and change them. It's actually virtually impossible to change anyone else. And in fact, if you want to change your spouse, then the way to do it is to change yourself first. Because when you change, everything else changes. All change starts with changing yourself. And that's a very deep and big subject which we can't really get into here, we haven't got time, but that is the truth. So accept your spouse for who they are, and if you focus on their positive qualities, rather than what you perceive to be their negative ones, it's going to be easier to accept them for who they are. And just like we talked about with your personality, why not make your relationship attractive by creating some fun and laughter in your relationship? As I say, tell some funny stories, share some funny moments. If you can't think of any, or if you can't find any from right now, but I'm sure you can, but another thing to do is you can think about something that happened in the past that was fun. Remind them of a funny situation and have a bit of fun and laughter. Lighten up again. Make your relationship an easy place to be, not a difficult place to be. Other way to create an attractive relationship is show some appreciation for each other. And if you're in the place where your spouse is very hostile to you, you might be thinking, well, they're not going to show any appreciation to me. And certainly that's probably the case to start with, but why don't you start? Why don't you change the pattern, break through the negative barrier and just show some appreciation to them? Not in a difficult or dramatic or complicated way, but just let them know that you're actually glad that you've got them in your life. And you could say that to them. Just say, hey, look, I know we've got our problems, but I'm glad you're here, really. And if you can't say that in so many words, at least you can lighten up and show you appreciate them just little ways. And on the other side of that, of course, is, don't criticize them. Instead of criticizing them, why not compliment them? Why not tell them they did something well? And the other thing is to lighten up your relationship and to create it, or to make it an attractive place for them to be, as well as yourself. Why not compliment them instead of criticizing them? We get into the cycle, particularly if we're focusing on trying to solve problems. All we can see are the problems, all we can see are the bad things. And we think the way to solve that is to tell them what's wrong and to criticize them. You want to do the opposite. You want to make your relationship a safe place where people can just be easy. Your spouse and you've both got enough problems everywhere else. Why not make your relationship a place where that's not the focus? Where it's a place where you can relax, you can enjoy yourself, you can be easy. It's almost a place that you escape to rather than away from. And you'll do that when you make it an attractive place to be. So compliment your spouse, don't criticize them. Get rid of the criticism, no matter what you think and how desperately you want to criticize them. Just realize if you criticize them, it's only going to make things worse. Okay, so they're the three things about creating attraction. Firstly, be physically attractive. Then secondly, create an attractive personality. And thirdly, create an attractive relationship. Make yourself and your life a good place. Focus on the good things, not on the negative. And when you focus on the good things, you're only going to get more of them. So that's what I think attraction is. That's how you can start rebuilding it. As I said at the beginning, attraction isn't one of these mysterious or chemical things you don't have any control over. If you were once attracted to your spouse and they were attracted to you, you can definitely get it back. But you just need to simply focus on being an attractive person and doing attractive things. It makes sense. I hope you can see, I'm sure you agree that it makes a lot of sense. So I hope I've given you some ideas here. Now I've summarized this podcast also in written form, which you can download from my website, liamnaden.com. Just look for podcast episode number 8, and you'll see it there as something you can download, and that summarizes the thoughts that I've got here and will hopefully help you to be able to use them in a more concrete sort of way. But please give these things a try, see what a difference you can make. And sizzling attraction, it's not necessarily something that's going to start happening again overnight. In fact, it probably won't. And depending on your situation, it might take a little while. But if you're moving in the right direction by doing some of these things, then you can certainly get back to where you want to be. So that's all we've got time for. If you want some more ideas on how to get you and your spouse attracted to each other again, I'd really encourage you to go to my website growinginloveforlife.com and download my free report, The 5 Keys to Saving Your Marriage Now. And they're going to give you some great ways to rebuild the attraction. Also, if you enjoyed this, please leave a review. It really helps to spread the word more and help get the message out there, which is really what I want to do. And if you've got any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you as well. And you're welcome to contact me on email. And my email is Liam, Liam, at growinginloveforlife.com. Well, that's all we've got time for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. More importantly, I hope you found it useful and that you will use some of this information and get a positive result, because a wonderful, fulfilling marriage is possible no matter where it is at the moment for you. If you do the right things in the right way, you can create the relationship you really want and deserve to have. So I hope that becomes the outcome for you. I look forward to sharing some more ideas with you next time. And in the meantime, bye for now.